Thank you so much for watching Slate with Anita. And you're watching me on a Thursday, which means that I'm still doing sessions with Sue where I'm referring to her book NLP at Work, third edition. And just so you know, the fourth edition is literally getting released today, tomorrow, which is between like the 14th and the 16th of July. So make sure you check it out. Check out on all her social media platforms and mine too, because I will definitely talk about it. On that note, are you curious about what is the topic that I'm going to talk about today? Let me show you some props. So, does this give an indication as to what is the topic for today? Well, the topic for today is filters. Do we have filters? What are filters? How do we really make filters work for us? Are some of the things that we will speak about throughout our next series. But the basic question, why are we even studying about filters? Well, aren't we living in a world where the more we have the ability to influence others to see our point of view, the more we will be able to get our work done and live a great life, right? So filters is something which really helps us achieve exactly that. Now, to begin with, do we have filters? Of course we have filters. All of us have filters. You know why? Because there is so much of information that all of us keep getting on a continued basis that literally we are not able to retain all of the information. So we do tend to pick and choose certain pieces of communication over others. And that's exactly how it works, the process of filtering. Now, if I really show a demo, like you know that when you actually put something into a filter, then there's something that gets left on top and then you have whatever comes below. So this is how what we look at our experience what is our perception and understanding about the experience is what comes out. Now, so what's the problem? Well, there is no problem, because if this filter is exactly what the other person with whom you are communicating has, then there's really no problem at all. Whereas, let's say if you are using this filter and somebody else is using this filter, do you think you'll be able to have a language of rapport with that person? No, right? While Sue introduces this chapter with a very beautiful personal example, and it's an example that I actually resonate with a lot, because it's something that I've gone through in my life as well. So she speaks about this gentleman from whom she wanted to pick up a little bit of Danish language, and because she was starting a program in Denmark, and she asked this guy to send her an email with the translation of a specific passage. And what happens is that guy, the participant, he actually sends her a voice note instead. Now, if you really think about it, he was trying to do something helpful. He was trying to do the right thing, because he felt that if Sue were to understand the communication of through pronunciation, then it would help her deliver better, and that's why he sent a voice message. Little did he know at that time that Sue's preference was not really auditory or learning through listening. She instead was preferring an email communication because she had already picked up certain words and communication, certain words and pronunciation. Well, that's exactly what happens in the real world. You and I probably end up doing many things, and many times in a very well meaning way, things in a manner that are really not useful, that are really not speaking the language of the other person. So that's exactly the reason why, if we increase our knowledge about filters, it's going to go a long way in us improving our influence. Well, on that note, some further demonstrations about how filters exist. Has it happened that when you're about to buy a specific car, or you have bought that car, you suddenly see that there are a lot of those cars on the road, right? Has it happened that there is a specific thought or view that you hold about something, only to discover that some people around you hold exactly the same thought and you didn't realize it before? Maybe the way you look at the world is half full, so you look at what is there instead of what is not there. So like this, there are many ways filters exist in the way we go about our day-to-day life. That's why it's not about the experience, but of what we make of that experiences, and then what do we do with it, and then how do we go about making our choices dynamically, is probably why understanding filters is very helpful. After all, we want to do the best that we want to do in any situation, right? But before I introduce you into the big world of filters that is there, today actually is just an introduction through one conversation that I will share with Sue Coates in her book. And the next episode onwards, we will deep dive into certain aspects about filters. On that note, I'd like to share this instance that Sue talks about, where how do two people end up speaking two entirely different languages, and how that probably will mean like they are not in sync, they are probably not in rapport. So how do I deal with that? Here she goes. Okay, she says that there's this two characters called Janet and Bill. When Janet and Bill have a conversation, apparently each found the other very frustrating. Janet liked to discuss the details of what was needed, whereas Bill preferred to discuss the broader concepts. For example, Janet would say, "I'd like Peter to go to the next meeting." And Bill would reply, "We haven't decided on the main areas of the plan," which didn't work. Janet's conversation centered on future actions, whereas Bill's concentrated more on the past. Janet would pay attention to the similarities between one situation and the other, whereas Bill would be like, "Okay, this is different. I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't include this in the overall plan." It was as though they really spoke two different languages. Well, that's because they had different filters on their experience. And it's like they didn't find meetings with each other easy at all. Now, you know what happens? So whether it's with our partner or whether it's with the customer whom we are interacting with, how useful would it be if we tried to identify, if we were able to identify the filters on the other person and use that to make our choices with regards to communicating or engaging. So Sue says that as a solution, what could have been the alternative where the filters would have been understood better? So here we go. In this example, Bill could have replied in the following way. Janet says, "I'd like Peter to go to the next meeting." Now Bill could say, "Yes, Peter would make some useful contributions. Let's note that, so when we have decided what areas of the plan did not work, we can also decide who else we might want to include." That way, what Bill did is he managed Janet's preference for agreement and future thinking, yet still registering his concerns. How cool is that? And then Janet says, "This is like another idea that I have thought about, what we might do to improve the office layout." Now Bill knows that Janet has to hold her horses, right? But then if he were to point that out to her, it wouldn't really be useful. So instead, Bill chooses to say, "You come up with a lot of ideas, Janet. Can we discuss those when we have gone through my idea about the overall plan?" So what does Bill do? He ensures that he has acknowledged whatever Janet is saying, and then he future references it and then makes his request. That way, the side of Janet that he will get to see is not that of opposition, but will probably be that of collaboration. Does that happen to you in your life? Or where does it happen in your life? So while I come back to you in the next episode with some details about filters, do think about where is it that your communication is not working for you? Where is it that you feel you probably need to try a different approach yourself? Let me share a really personal example of myself. So how many times has it happened to you that you have felt similarly about a certain piece of communication or engagement? Like, let me tell you a personal example here. So many times when I have made the effort to check with the other person, hey, how's this coming about for you? Or how would you like to receive this piece of communication? Or what do you think is the best way that we can go about it? Because I felt that the person would like to be understood first, which means I have tried to match his filter. That's when things have gone really well. But do you want to know more about how do I do that? Would you like to know about it in a manner that people around you in office or at home are responding to you in a much better way? Well, stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Come back for my next episode where I deep dive into filters. On that note, thank you so much for watching Slate with Anita. Do catch me on alternate Tuesdays and Thursdays. Currently, I'm exploring stand-up comedy on Tuesdays. So do go watch it. Watch my previous 3 videos. And Saturdays, Do catch my conversations with interesting people who I believe walk the talk. Thank you so much and keep watching Slate with Anita.